I watched some of that the other day.
Yeah, those cameras aren't HD, it turns out, and it's kind of a disappointment to me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pixel Loadout. I am your host, DJ, aka The Green Jester. With me, I have Kevin, Miguel, Ryan, and Trey. How are you all doing?
How about everybody speaks at once, just to make sure that we all get it clear? So, go. I'm doing pretty great,
all right.
Yeah, it's
good.
So,
and all that jazz, yeah, so.
I'm getting a generally positive feeling here.
Are we going to watch, horror movies now? Are you, the host for the Saturday night, horror film stuff?
Are you the Crypt Keeper?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
I missed that. I got to say, I missed that a lot.
That intro would always scare me when I was a kid.
Mm.
I don't know about you guys, but my video is half a second behind on anything anyone's actually saying.
Yeah, you do the Time Warner switch out with your box and all that. I have no idea how fast your net is, but
from what
as long as it looks good for you guys, that's
So I wanted to ask you guys all about sort of the state of first-person shooters and where it's sort of going, because as we just saw, at least most of us, that Call of Duty is going in a very different direction with this new game, and sort of how, I guess, first-person shooters are sort of moving away from the modern warfare type gameplay and setting.
So for me, the definite theme I keep seeing is lots and lots of mobility being added to, and it's not just faster horizontal stuff, but a lot more verticality. Just everybody looking and say Titanfall, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely get that too. Especially, according to the Call of Duty devs, the development for Advanced Warfare started back in 2011, but I still feel like they definitely took a lot of inspiration from Titanfall.
How many people got to play the Destiny beta? Is it just Miguel? Hold on, I think Miguel has muted himself or his microphone is not working or something. We can't hear you, Miguel.
Dang it, Miguel.
Okay. This is all going so great. You know what, actually, I booted up Titanfall the other day, and that game is actually still pretty good, it turns out. Yeah, they're putting in the new mode now that actually gets rid of the Titans. It's all just pilot stuff, and with the amount of movement stuff that you do get with pilots and all that jazz, it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm actually considering getting the season pass stuff. What's the last FPS that everybody else got to play?
TF2?
TF2?
Yeah,
still
TF2.
Still getting those hats? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, Miguel can hop back in just a sec as soon as he gets that sorted out. Whew.
Yeah, TF2 is pretty good, and TF2 was pretty different on its own. It was almost like you don't see many class-based multiplayer, except for Evolve is doing that now, and I actually really wanted your opinion, Trey, on Evolve, because out of all of us, you were probably the biggest Left 4 Dead player.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Evolve. Just given the fact that they had the idea of doing variations between what's going to be the primary monster, and also just having the 4 extremely different classes for the players that they could choose from. In fact, is there more than that, or is it just variations?
I think it's 4 classes, but there's multiple characters in each of those classes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 characters.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, Miguel. Sweet.
Yeah, there's 3 characters per class, and I was kind of iffy about it because I thought that having just one monster would be kind of boring, but apparently the wildlife actually is pretty dangerous in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'd have to give you a little bit of something else.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the name of the game in video game industry right now is asymmetrical multiplayer.
Ooh, Asa what?
Asymmetrical.
You're flutter right now. This sounds interesting.
Even the new Fable game is doing this, where you have 3 people playing against one dungeon master, where the 4th player can manipulate and control a whole labyrinth of monsters. And it's not Evolve is doing the asymmetrical multiplayer thing, but there are other games as well. So I'm interested in it.
It's cool to see lots of variation in multiplayer shooter stuff, because you got that stuff like Payday, and presumably the new Walking Dead game that's coming out is also going to be group versus AI stuff. first-person shooter veneer. And then RPG mechanics and loot stuff is also the new stuff with Borderlands again for this fall. And Destiny seems to be, I've been told at least, is a lot like Borderlands in a lot of ways with RPG stuff all over the place.
Well, okay, so digressing to your first point, you said that the direction that first-person shooters are going seems to be very different than how they are. Do you want to explain that, for someone who may not know anything about first-person shooters? You said that there's much more mobility.
Generally, first-person shooters are on a level playing field. What I mean by that is typically you have to worry about enemies in front of you, on the sides, and behind you. Adding verticality and different mechanics to the game changes it up in a huge way. Generally, you would just worry about maybe, I don't know. Normally, I mean, FPSs are team-based games. Halo was pretty big on this. I mean, back in the 90s, Quake was pretty huge, but I mean, that had a bit more verticality to it. And then sort of when the modern warfare setting of first-person shooters sort of settled in, that verticality sort of disappeared. And it became more just on one plane, if that makes any sense.
So I'm curious then, is this actually something new or like a sort of return to the good old days of like Quake 3 Arena stuff? Because I remember jump pads and going all over the place and what was it Planet Side? What is it where you would glide tribes where you would glide all over the place and stuff like that? So
yeah, I think it's definitely a return back to the old stuff. I mean,
faster. I'm trying to think where the big slowdown was because I don't consider Call of Duty to be a big. I guess Halo, for the way that it moves stuff to first-person shooters and with having to work out the controls and all that, does feel like a comparatively slower FPS. At least if you go back to Halo 2 and 3 and all that.
Yeah, I mean, GoldenEye also slowed things down quite a bit.
Yeah,
but that was just a console shooter. But at the same time, I mean. That was like one of those few games where there wasn't verticality. It was mostly just, one playing field, and then Halo sort of took away the ability to carry all the guns that you pick up and limited you to just 2.
Yeah.
Well, what about like revivals of FPS games? Like Wolfenstein is a good example of that. Like just kind of bringing that old style back.
It's really good, Trey. So says the review on our site. No, but like it's cool to see story-based first-person shooters again. Like that had a surprisingly effective and poignant stories in a lot of different places, which was really a big surprise to me.
I just want to dual-wield AKs on something that isn't Borderlands.
Yeah, no, that's cool too. Like I'm not saying that's cool or like not cool or using like upgrading a laser weapon and taking out Nazis. That feels great and all, but there were parts of there that just felt like it reminded me a lot of Half-Life 2, honestly, with the way they did storytelling.
What about like I don't know, RPGs with gun elements? Like how you have Borderlands.
Fate?
Oh yeah, well I mean that's kind of skewing way to the other side and not.
Wait, are you talking about Destiny?
Yeah, yes, and Borderlands essentially.
Well, I was thinking of like Fallout too.
I
I
hesitate to call that an FPS. Just like I know you can play in first person, but that totally strips away any of the twitch reaction that you need.
That's true, especially when you can just VATS it.
That's everything.
That's like calling Skyrim a first-person shooter. Like
yeah, I guess that's because it has guns but also RPG, but then it's like Borderlands has RPG and guns, and it's like how do you distinguish the two?
I don't feel like. Sorry, go for it.
Are you saying that first-person shooters have to have that twitchy kind of feel to it in order to be a first-person shooter?
No, but there's a distinction though between like the comparison with the shooters with RPG mechanics. Like Borderlands feels like grounded more in the way that enemies would dodge around you and your player movements to be a little bit more action-heavy, whereas Fallout is like you can still sort of tell that it's built on the Elder Scrolls engine and things still like the shooting doesn't feel great in that, I guess. On it, like compared to other, like I mean, you couldn't even iron sight stuff until New Vegas, I guess. I don't know. It's a tough distinction for me. I guess it comes down to kinesthetic feel if you want to get all fancy.
I will say that it feels more formulaic and in Fallout. You know exactly what's going to happen when you shoot somewhere in a certain place. Rather in first-person shooters, it's just fill them up and they'll die.
More interesting than that is just watching them how they ragdoll, honestly.
That was the one thing that I think they did really well with like Fallout, and I would love to see that in more games. It was just like the comic gore. I don't know how much they do that in Borderlands.
Quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's something I like.
You definitely get the people exploding and the little giblets in both of them, depending on what happens. So.
I mean, Half-Life 2 is the first FPS I can think of where where any company really utilized the ragdoll physics and stuff to great effect. I mean, I also recall that's like one of the first games where you actually, no matter how tough an enemy is, you shoot it in the head and it goes down in one shot, basically.
Right. Yeah. Is that more that realistic kind of
I
play?
mean, there are parts of Half-Life 2 that definitely feel pretty grounded compared to what was coming out at the time, sure.
Well, like Trey, you love your survival games. So what about like games that it's a little bit more realistic? You know, where in Call of Duty a person can take like a full clip and they don't die. But like, you know, do you know of any games that are kind of more that have more of that survival mechanic where it's like you get a shot to the head, you die, or you get a shot to the arm, and you have to patch it up, or.
As far as shooters go, for the player character, not a whole lot off the top of my head.
Anybody else?
I mean, for like the action part of it, it feels like it's diametrically opposed when you talk about survival stuff, just because survival implies limited resources, and I don't know. Most of the time, I think about first-person shooters, I think about there's a few extra clips and stuff like that, and I don't know.
Well, Condemned was pretty big when it first came out. It sort of emphasized the whole. I mean, yeah, you find guns, but you
also fist fight bums in the back alley.
Yeah, I mean,
See, that's why I would love to see a game, an FPS game specifically, where it's like real. It's all about the realism, you know. Like you got to be really. But I guess that's hard to market because the normal everyday gamer wouldn't be really like.
I think it's easier now than it's been before, just because, like I said, Call of Duty Ghost came out last year, and DJ and I were totally underwhelmed by that game completely. And you started seeing more fantastical stuff, like I said, another Borderlands because it was received so well, and Destiny because, you know, Halo again is pretty cool, and you know, and stuff.
Yeah, and
Halo
even
stuff.
Even bringing back old Halo. I mean, geez, everyone's been talking about Halo 2 Anniversary, especially IGN.
Yeah, and we've seen the CG trailer stuff of Halo 5, and they're talking about going back to the good old days of 5-on-5. I don't know if Halo has ever been about 5-on-5.
Yeah, it was. It was back in Halo 2, 3, and Reach, and then
there's a lot of big team battle and SWAT. But
what about like Halo CE though? Where does that fall?
That was just Halo Reach's multiplayer, wasn't it?
Halo CE. That was. I thought that was.
Oh no, we're talking about the PC version with the. Yeah.
Like servers and such.
I don't know if I ever played any of Halo CE's multiplayer stuff.
DJ, you played some of that, didn't you?
Nah, not the original kind. That is what they're shipping though with the Master Chief Collection. If you play Halo 1 online, that's basically what you're playing.
That's how I spent like middle school, was going on servers on Halo CE.
Yeah, because when it first shipped on the Xbox, it didn't have multiplayer. It wasn't until the PC version came out that they actually added it. Well, no, not multiplayer, online, sorry.
Okay.
Does anybody miss the days at all of like couch co-op first-person shooters and screen looking and all that jazz? Or
Oh, we did that. We did that the other day. Actually, my
GoldenEye.
girlfriend Izzy and one of my friends, Carlin, we were like chilling in the dorm room and playing Black Ops.
Yeah, but and that but that's all playing together like cooperatively and all that, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was like us against bots kind of thing, not really like us against each other, because screen watching is too easy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess FPSs as a couch thing weren't necessarily the best and most optimal way to play, obviously. Like, we get more out of, like, Towerfall, or I still want to do Sports Friends. I've got to find some time to do that, but, yeah. I don't know, so for, like, the fall season stuff, is there a particular multiplayer, like, competitive shooter that anybody is looking forward to? Like, Miguel, you got to play some of the Destiny competitive stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
How was that?
It was not bad.
Wow.
That's a
I mean,
great review if I've ever heard one.
it would. I mean, why would I give a review for a beta?
It was acceptable.
I mean,
It was everything that I would have wanted from a Bungie versus like competitive shooter. It
Mhm.
like had all the elements of Halo that you would expect there to be in a Bungie game, like turrets and vehicles and stuff in some maps and other. And the maps actually did have some verticality to them, if
Mhm.
that's
Does
the new
it
buzzword.
does it feel like Halo though? I've heard a lot of people saying like, "Oh, it's the new Bungie game," but it's really just Halo whatever.
I mean, I I would say that the only reason people say that it would feel like Halo is because Halo is the only game Bungie's made. So I would say that this game is actually has more of a Bungie feel. Like it kind of feels a little floaty like the Halo games do. The control schemes are very well mapped on a controller. It
Okay.
I
I mean,
mean,
this is kind of what we were talking about, Kevin, the other day about movies, where it's like directors are known for a certain, kind of movies, and then it's like,
Mhm.
developers are known for a certain kind of game. Like, you think Bethesda, you automatically think Fallout, Elder Scrolls, you think Bungie, you think Halo. So, I mean, Miguel, you've played it. Do you think that's kind of stepping away from Halo, or do you think it's
the
do you think
feel.
Bungie is going to define themselves in a different way from this game, or?
Here's the interesting thing. When I played this game, I always felt like I was playing a first-person Mass Effect.
Hmm.
And it is like when you go like the aesthetic of the game is so refined and all of the players have like clothing on, like cloth armor. It
Mhm.
made you feel like you were like one of Tali's like Aquarian type thing.
Right.
So I always felt like I was like, this isn't Mass Effect, is it? It doesn't feel like it's.
Because you essentially have like power set stuff. You kind of like the Mass Effect because you have everybody has a use power, a grenade power that sometimes isn't a grenade, and then like a super, right?
Yeah, it's a melee power. Which for the ranger dude is the hunt. It's you throw a
Throwing knife.
dagger. Grenade power, which for some people isn't even a grenade. Like the warlocks, it's a singularity that they just put somewhere, and anything that goes into it takes damage over time.
Hmm.
And then the super, which supers can vary greatly. Like one of the supers for the Titan is that they just drop a sphere down, and nothing can shoot into the sphere. So it's really good for like capturing a point.
Mhm.
So
It's like it's like a bubble shield.
and each of the three classes really excel in their own different fields.
Mhm.
Like Titans are more about defensive stuff. Like they can protect an area super well. Like their supers are very good at either destroying people in this little place or protecting it. Warlocks are good about like mid to long range zone control.
Mhm.
Like they can throw down the singularity and no one can go in there without dying. And then hunters are all about killing people.
So it has
So
like a class-based system almost.
yeah, and each of the three classes has three subclasses.
I've only seen the two so far that have been posted on like wiki stuff, so it'll be interesting to see where the last ones are. So I was curious about one thing because this is like the first person shooter I can think of that has had like a ton of RPG statistics like within the multiplayer more or less. And I know there's supposed to be I think some sort of auto balancing thing going on, but they're like I know you only got up to like level 7 because that's sort of like what the beta will let you. But how do you think like
Okay, so the way that the multiplayer works for stats is there's two different. There's a lot of multiplayer maps, but there's two like versus mode like cults. I think like there's the Crucible, and then there's the other one that I forget the name of, like the Hounds or something. The Crucible multiplayer maps don't actually factor in your PvE gear. Everyone is kind of at a regular numbers.
Mhm.
But in the other one, that's when all your gear actually matters. So you can either go into one where everyone's kind of on neutral footing, or in the other where you actually feel the power of your exotic weapons and stuff.
Do you think one will take priority over the other, or it's going to be like an even kilter? New players play the like randoms like the
Well,
yeah.
it would depend on what the maps are for each one, because I don't think that all the maps are available for both,
Huh.
or all the
Okay.
game types are available for both. So
Yeah, it's just like I feel like that would be like a thing that I know the popular word is esports now, but I don't think like Destiny could ever be an esport, I think, unless maybe the auto balance stuff. I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
myself.
I think an esport in the idea of like, you know, everybody watching it on a televised, show note kind of thing wouldn't really work. But I mean, you have like you have a bunch of people come over for like a tournament kind of thing. I think Destiny.
Yeah.
Really well.
For esports, it really all depends on the spectator aspect. Like, is the game going to support a feature where spectators can more easily see the battlefield and the combat?
Like
Or
have
you just
floating third-person cameras and be able to follow and stuff like that.
yeah, or are you going to be relegated to the view of one person? That like if it's the latter, it'll be much harder to like market it as an esport. But like games like League of Legends and Street Fighter, you see the entire field all the time.
Yeah, there's so much of a field in Street Fighter.
Well,
That's
I mean, it's such a simple like window that there's not much more to see. It's a lot more about how the people are microing their characters rather than
I mean, like
what's
position
going
on the
the other
battlefield
time.
on the battlefield matters for like a fighter. If somebody gets trapped in a
Hard.
corner and that kind of thing. I know there are like play styles that matter for that kind of so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of weird anyway because Destiny, it's not really meant to be PvP. I mean, I know they
I
have
disagree.
the modes.
I mean,
Well,
you think that's not like the final end goal? What Bungie's shooting for? Like, what do you think the big? What
It's
is
meant
the
to be an adventure game. I mean,
okay from but yeah? So from everybody's perspective, then what do you think the end game is for Destiny? Is it like raiding PvP or PvP stuff? Like,
I think it's both.
okay,
Like honestly, the quality of the versus maps are so good. Like it's not like an afterthought. They actually went in and made these maps from the very beginning of the design aspect of the game. Like I can see people playing Destiny for years and years after even the game becomes a little obsolete.
so Activision as a publisher, does this mean we're probably gonna get map packs?
yeah,
Well,
overpriced
well
map
since
packs.
since the PlayStation has an exclusive map for versus mode, an exclusive raid, and a strike and weapons, I mean it just seems.
And ship skins and all this other jet. God, I was looking at the wiki yesterday. It is like
What
a
are
whole-
strike missions anyway?
Strike missions are the PvE, 3 versus enemy
I
missions.
thought,
They're-
okay, and fire teams are 2 strikes together. I don't know.
no,
So it's
fire
like
team
firefight
is
mode.
a fire team is the name for a party.
Okay.
A strike would be like in MMO terms like a dungeon where you and your party go in and fight PvE content.
I see.
What was the last one?
Let's see, strike, fire team, and what's 2 strikes together or 2? There's a 6-person thing like a raid.
There's one that's basically a raid that is incredibly hard, and in some cases you have to each player has to do a specific something to access the raid itself. I forget what it's called though. I just had it in my head.
It's all
Yeah.
Within a few
I
days,
mean-
we'll all know.
I feel the game is going to have a lot of content for people who want PvE or PvP.
It's so weird. I feel like I know still so little about Destiny. Like they've been so esoteric about how they've talked about things, and
Like you for the PvP, you don't even like you can get gear from playing PvP matches. So you don't have to go into PvP to get gear and then go into PvP from PvE
Right.
to PvP. But I mean, I just like I'm not interested in PvP stuff. I did dabble in it just to see what the quality was, and it seemed very good, very well made, very Bungie. Like when you go to the moon, for example, there is no wizard, but it does like when you start out, there's just all these vehicles everywhere, and you can get in them and have fun.
I assume you don't. It's not recommended to just hop right into PvP when you boot the game up because it sounds like they don't really balance based on. I mean, they based on skill, but if someone's been grinding a while and they have really good gear, you're going to be in a disadvantage.
Well, like I said, not all the maps take gear into consideration. Like, so if you go into a match where gear is nullified, then everyone has the same stats. The only difference is your weapon type
I see.
and your skill set. Because like different skills, like you can have either a double jump or a triple jump, or you can have like a floaty jetpack thing.
yeah, there's some like mutually exclusive choice. Like wild choices right now for tier list stuff. Some of the exotic stuff that I've seen though seems like it would really change up stuff for like the Red Death is the one that they've shown off since the beginning where it's like you get a kill, it restores some of your health and it increases your reload. So now you're just like kill, you're alive again, reload
So
quickly, do it again.
You're jinxing it, like
Yeah.
League of Legends.
It's just like I'm wondering how difficult getting those exotic weapons are going to end up being, and a bunch of other stuff. But like Destiny comes out next week,
Tuesday.
and when we'll be able to talk about it. Well, we'll probably talk about it on the radio show because like all these review outlets have been saying like they're not going to talk about stuff because until the servers are up. Like I'm curious if it's going to be like a Diablo thing again with the servers not working, but we'll see. I think Call of Duty is like the other big first-person shooter for this year, right?
So would an exosuit change your outlook on Call of Duty?
I saw the trailer. It seemed like there was like some sort of mech.
It's like it's a kill streak. You can call down a big old. It's basically the Juggernaut suit, but instead now going super fast, you go super slow, but you're super armored and you can shoot super guns.
You
So
have
it's like-
two miniguns.
So it's like a mini Titan.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I guess. Yeah, there'll probably be some sort of mode where it's all just like everybody's kill streak is that, and it's like I can see it being like a carbon copy.
I've never really gotten into many of the Call of Duty games myself. It's just not particularly my type of shooter. I did enjoy whenever I was like playing with friends in like the Nazi Zombies mode on any of the games that they had it. Those were always really fun. But I don't know. I don't want to dedicate the time to get good enough to play on the same level as people who play it all the time.
See, that was the thing with me when I played Call of Duty. I stopped at Modern Warfare 3. I really enjoyed the campaign of that because I was really into like the political machinations of everything.
And Russia invading the United States.
I mean, it's like Red Dawn the game. Like it's awesome.
Except it's not the Cold War anymore.
Right, but it was an interesting interesting story, I thought. But yeah. So I mean, does anyone know what the campaign is like for what is it called? Advanced Warfare?
Basically, Kevin Spacey is Frank Underwood, and
Yeah.
he owns a private military corporation, and you're working for him.
So okay, I've got a super secret source for this kind of stuff, but you're gonna start working out for Kevin Spacey, but then it's gonna turn out things are not as they seem, and then
Oh my goodness.
you're gonna have to take out Kevin Spacey
Is,
or his
is
corporation.
Kojima in this anywhere?
Oh, I can't reveal my sources, and this is not just purely guessing based on all kinds of story structure that have ever existed, but.
No. You see, what you're going to have to do is start killing off reporters for him.
Oh,
See,
no.
now
Push them into-
that is too soon because of all
Um,
That's-
what if Kevin Spacey is just like an AI that is just like
he's
everywhere.
John Henry. He's John Henry Eden. Okay.
Yeah, see, you jump on top of a car with your exosuit, pull the guy out, and then throw him in front of a train, but you have to make sure that the camera doesn't see you doing it.
Right. No, I want.
Spoiler
I want.
alerts, everyone.
No, I mean, well, it's
No,
up
you-
there.
You look straight at the camera and you say, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah.
Like,
No. I want to see more digital actor stuff like they do with Kevin. I want to see a digital Malcolm McDowell. I want to see a digital Nicolas Cage.
I want to see a digital Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, so, what do you think? I don't know. This is kind of a segue, but not really. It's kind of a tangent. But the capture stuff. I mean, what do you think that's gonna happen more and more in the in games or?
What kind of cat? What are you like?
Like
Capturing game footage?
The
Or?
facial capture
Oh,
and stuff like that. Like what they did with
L.A. Noire.
yeah, Ellen Noir. That's
So it turns out what they did with Eleanor was like super expensive, and essentially like it tanked Team Bondi, and they had to be bought by Rockstar. So, and that game was all right. It was not great. Super
The
Ellen
issue.
Noir?
Yes.
The issue with
no.
What? You want to get into this right now?
okay.
No, I love that game.
I know you do, but like outside of the critical story path, there's this entire city of Chicago and nothing to do in it. There's no reason that game should have been open world.
Here's the thing. As beautiful as the facial animations were, and I admit they were really nice, everything else in that game looked dead.
Yeah.
Like, the robotic motions of their bodies, like their hands wouldn't even move.
Yeah, like that's
Their faces were beautiful, but as long as you look at the faces, everything else. That's
and
what I
that,
didn't
it
like
was
about
even
it.
worse too because like they would still do that facial capture stuff with dialogue going in between missions, so you would be juxtaposed by watching their face but still doing that video game jerkiness of moving around. So but I think we'll see more like actors captured in just because the technology is better and it's
I mean,
easier.
you have like Beyond Two Souls did that also with
Ellen Page.
Shadowcat, yeah, Ellen Page, and the other guy, the Green Goblin.
Yeah, but I mean like all the like scene most of the scene stuff is like hand animated. Like obviously there's going around and clicking the quick time events, but
Who cares? He has emotions.
yeah. Does anybody know if there was like what the alternative mode for the Advanced Warfare, if that's been announced? Like, because there's always been zombies or
I don't.
it was aliens this past time. So aliens were supposed to get another zombie, but this is a sledgehammer thing. So
So it would
Maybe it's
probably
alien
be just-
zombies.
no, it's probably necromorphs. Actually, my bad.
It is probably something. I mean, they did show off some new game types for it. One mode they showed off was uplink, which is a lot like
Basketball. It's Bari Ball with yeah.
So I just want to I want to verbalize my discontent. Every time y'all say Advanced Warfare, I keep thinking Advanced Wars, and then I remember that it's not Advanced Wars, and then I get upset again.
Days of Ruin was actually pretty good. They should need to bring that franchise back, but they're too busy with Fire Emblem, I guess, or something. I don't know. Intelligent systems.
So I have another question for everyone to discuss. So I'm a PC gamer, and you'll hear this a lot. So do these games, like, I mean, are these games going to help the consoles, you know, the new consoles that are coming out? Because I feel like PS4 is doing really well. Xbox One is
Less so.
less so.
Xbox One is doing really well, just not as well as the PS4.
Yeah, I guess it's
Like,
good.
that is something you have to mention. It is doing really well, just not as well.
Like the sales of consoles for this generation are up by an astronomical amount compared to the last generation at this point in their launch cycle. Like obviously not as many 360s and PS3s have been, or not as many Xbox Ones and PS4s have been sold in total as have been with the last generation, but the last generation was 7 years.
Well, then I hope that there's more. That's the thing is, like, do you think there are going to be more purchases for these awesome games that are coming out, like Destiny and?
There will be
Why wouldn't
until
there be?
they aren't on those consoles exclusively anymore. Once Destiny is on the PC, then people will stop buying it for the consoles.
Yeah.
I think that you underrate consumers and how much they value consoles above PCs sometimes.
No, I mean
That's just
I don't
sad.
know it as well. That's the thing. Like that's why I'm asking. Like I don't know how.
Except that, like, the value is so much. Like, I can understand the appeal of playing something in front of a TV, but it's just like I get so many good deals
I don't
on
know.
Steam and Greenman Gaming and all. God.
And
It's so
far
weird.
better graphics and better controls for first-person shooters.
And well, yeah, more
And-
customization. Except when EA decides they don't want to put controller support in Mass Effect 3, because why the fuck would you put controller support in Mass Effect 3? Because it was on the console. Oh my god, I still can't believe that.
They didn't put it on
You
any
have
of
to
the
deal with
games.
hardwares and drivers and bugs and system updates.
How much
Yeah,
how much
deal with
trouble?
all of that
I
stuff
mean-
on a console.
How much
Just-
trouble does it get your webcam going, Trey? Did you just plug it in and download the
Yeah, I
drivers?
plugged it in and it was ready to go.
Like magic. Anyways.
Okay, Trey. So let's discuss this then. Like as
All right.
PC versus console. Not really, but we're not saying one is better than the other. But
I am.
Except
but-
PC
Oh,
is
go ahead.
the console, but
PC
But-
Master Race.
for PC Masters. All hail Lord Gaben. So what do you think is like? What do you think the nature of consoles and PCs are going to be with these awesome games that are coming out? What do you think? What do you think the future of both of these, I guess, ways of playing games are going to be? You know, based on consumer reports, based on all these different facets.
I mean, honestly, all the stuff that I keep seeing is consoles keep over and over again, like they're trying to reinvent themselves. That was one of the primary problems with the Xbox One when it first was announced itself, where it's like, hey, it's going to be all your TV stuff all in one thing, and then the mass market was just like, I don't really want to be a part of that at all.
Yeah.
And
in
it's-
actuality, it's just a bunch of idiots waving their hands in front of their Kinects.
But when it comes down to it, PC is always going to be more versatile because you can always upgrade the hardware. You can upgrade your software more easily without having to worry about whether the company or publisher is going to be actually supporting any updates for it. You're going to have just in general better specs and graphics on a computer because they just don't have the power in consoles. They don't try to put it in there.
I think that's something that is really good about PC is that you can make the games better for you, and you can kind of whereas when you have an Xbox One or a PS4 and you put the game in, there's not a lot of wiggle room with what you can do. You're kind of left to the devices of the console.
Because it's less so this generation than it's been back in PC's past, but there's not a worse feeling than like getting a PC game and realizing that you have some piece of hardware that is out of date and will prevent you from playing it, and you're SOL.
But you can update it on PC.
I mean, unless your video card is way out of date and is no longer good enough.
Then you're obviously not doing what you should be doing to take care of your video card is out of date.
Go for
ultimately, PCs are hands down better than consoles are because of how variable they can be. They can be low end to high end, meaning that their price ranges are very different. They are very flexible, meaning that you can do much more on a PC than you can on a console. But on the other hand, and this is something that Yoshi P said, who is the producer-director of Final Fantasy XIV, he said that one of the benefits for making a game for consoles is that you know exactly what everyone has in their living room. You don't have to guess what their architecture is. You know exactly how you need to make the game, and you know exactly how much they're going to enjoy it.
But what does that matter for the actual consumer, though? The consumer doesn't care if the actual developer is having trouble at making the game for multiple platforms.
Well, here's an example now. Nintendo making the new 3DS. They are with the new 3DS. There is Xenoblade Chronicles,
which is will not work. Yeah, game, right.
Whatever, it's the new 3DS exclusive one.
Right.
Only works on the new 3DS, so it won't work on the regular 3DS. But
so I have to buy a brand new system specifically just to play this game if I want to.
Man, we can't get super far.
What I can do with my computer is just open it up, replace a video card, and then boom, I can go ahead and move on to the next generation of things.
Let me see if I can try posting this in a better light. So when the hardware specs are defined for a console, for example, you are able to do some interesting tricks when it comes to development. At least that is what I've read from lots of Game Informer stuff, because you know your limits of what you're developing for. When you have to develop for a larger variance in what systems can be and support lots of different resolutions, things like that, you are taking away development time, and essentially, you're gonna get a less focused game in a sense. Is what I'm going to say. There's some stuff that was pulled off on the last generation of consoles that is pretty impressive. From Last of Us probably being the most recent thing to the first Gears of War being, oh my god, incredible, and how is that running off of 512 megabytes of RAM? But yes, you're gonna probably get a better experience on the PC stuff, but you'd be surprised probably for the next few years with what is accomplished with a console and only essentially 4 gigs of memory being available and the set graphics card that was in the box.
One of my biggest issues with when I had a console was just there's not as much support, customer service and just general support for consoles that you have that if you're having an issue with. For me, I'm not the most tech savvy of people, but with a PC I can look something up that's pretty simple. I can watch YouTube videos, stuff like that, but there's only so far you can go with a console how you can fix things,
I mean, it is sort of the difference between an open and closed platform, though. That is definitely another PC strength here, is that there is all sorts of cool tricks that you can do to get something to work or run better. But there is a simplicity, I guess, that people that are even less tech savvy than yourself get out of having a console.
Yeah,
This is not for the hardcore gamers like you or me, just like the mom and pop that want to put a video game system down in front of their kids and not have to mess around with it. Like there's a consumer appeal.
The way you said that was just so horrible. It's like parents that just want to make sure.
I mean, kids don't understand, but it's condescending, sure, I guess, but those people are also probably not watching this.
Let's let Kevin
More than
Spacey babysit our kids for a day.
America. But I mean, there's still other things that are fine, like in appeal on the console right now, like couch multiplayer. We played Towerfall Ascension out in front and the big TV, like, and it was a shame you weren't there, DJ, but everybody else was there. That was a really good, like, hours worth of fun to have right before the radio show, and like, that's not something we would have gotten necessarily on a PC. Like, you could have set it up, but it would have been a little bit like longer in terms of getting controller support and all that jazz together.
I mean, and how many?
Controller support?
Huh?
Because like controller support, you've got a keyboard and mouse.
No, 4 people.
4 people, yeah.
On the same
I know.
He's trying, but this is why we need to play Sports Friends, because I promise you, it's just like that, but so much more fun.
Well, I just wish it was like, I would love if there wasn't so much of the exclusivity of games. Like, I hope that changes with, like, that would be one of the things that would actually make me want to buy a console, is if I can play a game like on PC but also on these other consoles, so I can play with friends or something like that.
On the PlayStation, they actually so one reason that Xbox isn't really going to do this is because they have the closed network with Xbox Live and they don't like people dipping into it. But on the Sony platform, there's an example that is Final Fantasy XIV, which you can play on PS4, PS3, or PC, and they all play together. So you can play on PS4 and play with people on the PC at the same time, and you can take your account between both.
I remember Microsoft doing it in the past with that old Shadowrun FPS. If anybody actually played that at all, they had it on the Games for Windows thing, and so you could actually play PC versus console on that. And they ended up implementing a few features like the slightly floaty target reticle for PC players and the spread happening, so that way it would equalize it a bit more out with someone using a controller. So they could do between PC and console, but it would require it. They more than likely would require any game that they did that with to go on the Games for Windows, which no one wants to do.
Here's an interesting thing that I don't understand. It's when developers say that because Bungie, they said that we don't want to, not Bungie, but other companies, they said we don't want to mix PC and console gamers because there's too much of an advantage against console players because people use keyboard and mouse. And then I think consoles support keyboard and mouse. Why can't they just put on a fucking keyboard and mouse on the damn console and just like that not be an issue?
I feel like that might be too much of like giving your competition support. It's like it's not too far a leap to say, okay, well, I've got the computer stuff out here. Why don't I just have a computer? But I mean, I agree with you. There's no like if that was a thing, like I feel like it's a surface level. Like there is no reason why these new consoles could not support a typical like keyboard and mouse combo, other than maybe lack of USB ports or something. I don't know.
That also brings up the question of like, I don't really know what a good term for it is, but you know how a lot of media in general, like smartphones, for instance, you have a lot of different things just on one device. Like, how long is it going to be until game consoles all get downsized into either a smaller device or melded with another device?
I mean, those are like two different things right there. You're talking about media convergence and just like the advancement of technology, but
I take my Wii everywhere I go.
Are you talking about the console?
No.
Yeah, the console.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. So.
Okay.
I just.
That's a big question right there, Ren. So you're just asking, consoles are going to get smaller, PCs are going to get smaller, and I mean every kind of digital application you can think of is probably, like just looking at the PS4 for example, like I got Netflix on there, I got a web browser on there that actually works pretty decently most of the time.
Right.
So
I mean that's less a conversation about consoles or peripherals and just technology in general. Technology grows exponentially quickly, like just so fast over years.
Wait, there's a joke in here. a sexy one, but I don't. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Well, like, it all depends on how these consoles adapt to the new technologies that will be out in 5 years, 5 to 10 years. Now, on the PS, you know how the Xbox One, Microsoft stopped supporting the Kinect as a default device and actually expanded the back end to allow developers more room to program games.
As
Right.
something like 2 or 5% more CPU power.
Well, on the PS4, I think there's 8 gigs of RAM or whatever.
Right. Both these consoles have 8 gigs of
But
RAM
the thing is, developers currently only have access to 6.
because 2 gigs are always taken up by the OS.
No. 2 gigs are reserved for future expansion.
I thought it was okay. I've heard actually
No.
that.
The OS has a dedicated chip in it.
Oh,
on
really?
the PS4, yeah.
I
Wow,
just
I didn't know.
I just
So,
understand
like,
that. Yeah.
That's but Sony being a hardware company, that makes sense that they're trying to future-proof their machine.
Right. That's the other thing I wanted to talk
I mean-
about was just, future proofing and all that, like the longevity of these consoles. Because we had Xbox 360 and we had the last generation last for so long. I mean, how long do you think this generation will last?
Potentially longer. I mean, if like trends or anything to follow here.
Well, I mean, and with this last console generation, it's really the first time that the developers, both of the console and games, have been able to really patch the console and their games without having to say, here's a new one. Because, I mean, that's what developers and console makers had to do. They had to say, oh, we have better technology now, you have to go out and buy a new console.
Okay, like for example, Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2, they had no way of actually changing the game, so they had to release 4 different versions of the game to fix bugs in previous versions.
Right. And that's the games. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like one game: Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and so on and so forth.
But they do updates for games all the time on consoles. Why couldn't they just do that anyway?
I mean, they do it
No,
now.
that's what we're just saying. They do that now.
Oh,
they
back
couldn't-
then. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry. I missed part of that.
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, it's just like Drax Destroyer. I wasn't listening. Okay.
I was looking at upcoming game releases to see if there was anything I wanted to talk about more.
Yeah.
Well, I
was
mean,
thinking
it's
about something
interesting that the Xbox 360 did have 3 major UIs for like just the dashboard. You
I
had
missed
the
the blade.
swiper, the blades. Then you had the one that was like a inverted like Sony cross media bar, and then you have the one that's happening now.
Yeah, honestly, the thing right now with the Xbox One interface is that it was designed to use the Kinect now, and now that that's optional, thing's a mess and terrible
But
to
no
navigate
one
around.
cares about the Kinect.
Right.
Not even Microsoft anymore.
One thing I like about the Kinect is that it allowed disabled persons access to these consoles when otherwise they would have more trouble doing so.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised I haven't
talk-
seen more stories about that.
What do you
We
mean?
talked about
Even,
that streamer.
even the
that was PC.
quadriplegics prefer the PC. I
With
mean,
the stick and yeah.
it's true.
It's a
I don't know
little
if the guy
much
was
there.
playing
A little much.
The D3 stuff is the same guy who was doing the Mass Effect stuff, but yeah.
Oh yeah, did you ever look any more information up about that, Kevin? About the you're talking about-
I need to. I should have, but I have not yet.
Okay.
What is this? What is this thing you put in the chat, Miguel, about Meachum and subreddits and?
No, it was just comments as things were saying. You were saying you'd be surprised what older consoles were able to do, and I was like, MGS4 looks fucking beautiful. And then Ryan was saying, I don't know where to go if I need support. I was like, subreddits.
True.
And
Right.
then you were talking about House of Cards. I was like, get Meachum.
Okay. I'm all caught up.
You guys aren't paying attention to the chat in real time, which is a failing on your part, not Miguel's.
Oh, gotcha. I'm glad everybody else got caught up with it.
Right, such a white knight over here.
Someone has to do it.
We jumped, I guess, pretty far off of first-person shooter stuff, but that's okay. I guess. I mean, there's like Call of Duty and Destiny, and I guess Borderlands are the only ones I can really think of for this
The
fall.
pre-sequel.
I don't know.
That looks good. It looks like more Borderlands.
I will give the new Call of Duty a rent. I'm still skeptical, especially after Ghosts, but I mean, this one you can't deny one way or another that it is definitely going to be different.
So
Yeah.
so for people that are going to be watching this, and I'm shared in this like misunderstanding. So what was the failing of Ghosts specifically? I never really looked
boy.
into it. I never played it.
Not enough dogs died.
clearly.
It just they didn't do anything different. I mean, I know you could say that going all the way back to Modern Warfare, but really they changed like a few little things, but the maps were uninspiring, the weapons and the kill streaks were horribly unbalanced, even more so than the other games.
There was this strange emphasis on playing against bot teams, which they thought was going to be the new hotness, and that was bizarre to me.
So do you think that the Advanced Warfare is going to, reinvigorate the COD franchise?
Couldn't hurt.
Um,
I mean,
or could it? It could be worse.
it could be worse, yeah.
I feel like it's a step in the right direction. At least they're trying something different for once.
Whenever I saw the trailer for it, and I just thought the same thing. The same thought I had when like Halo 3 or Halo 4 came out. I forget which one, but I was like, all the jetpacks.
Jetpacks? They just need jetpacks?
And then I look at the trailer, it's like jetpacks. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's Reach. I mean, but at the same time, I feel like it's a good thing that Call of Duty is trying something different because that's what it needed to do, and Halo is going back to being Halo because in Halo 4, and Kevin, you could probably attest to that, I feel like they were trying too hard to be like Call of Duty, especially with the loadouts and all this other weird stuff.
My worry about Halo is that they're going back to Halo 4 because it's not Bungie and they don't know what they're doing. Like they're going back to previous Halos because it's not Bungie, they don't know what they're doing.
Mm. Yeah, that they can't capture the Halo magic, as it were. I don't know. Like I said, Halo 4 was not a bad game. It just was like, I don't know. I played it for a month and then I was done with it. And like, I don't know. Maybe it was getting like the armor customization and stuff like. Maybe it was not the thing it needed to do. I'm not.
Did it add much to the story? Because I'm a sucker.
Yeah, I mean,
the story was weird.
I mean, it was weird, but it definitely was continuing the saga of the Master Chief. And as far as huge universe, wait, what's this year? It's 2014. The game was out 2 years ago. Okay, yeah, Cortana dies. Okay, I spoiled it. Get over it.
But at the same time, like
wait, a computer died?
Yeah, be sad.
Some of the writing in the game was just bad. Like the Admiral was just a dick for the sake of being a dick.
How was it always eggheads over and over? Oh god, yeah, Spartanops was.
Is he on Windows Phone?
Oh yeah, Cortana and yeah, she's giving Siri like the smackdown or something. Doesn't sound like her though. Yeah, I don't know. Like it didn't do enough to impress. I guess in a way, Halo 4 for the Halo franchise is the Call of Duty Ghosts of its thing. So.
Really? I heard worse about Ghosts than I did about Halo 4 though.
No, it's not. It's
Halo,
not,
yeah, Miguel, that's a good thing to bring up.
Talk about Halo. Please.
Halo Wars, okay, trying to get an RTS to work on a console, like, it did as good a job as any. Like, the only other thing that's come close is maybe Command & Conquer 3 and Red Alert 2.
XCOM?
No, but Halo Wars.
No, I'm saying, but XCOM. No.
XCOM, I mean, but
that's not real-time strategy. That's turn-based.
It's turn-based, yeah. Go back to your corner.
I'm in my corner. You see this?
It's okay, he's still the new kid.
But yeah, I don't know what were we talking about right now because I got all off track. Halo Wars is okay. Leave Halo Wars alone.
Leave Brittany alone.
It was the last thing from Lionsgate Studio. Was that the name of the studio that did it, and then got shut down like 3 weeks before it was released? I don't know. Are there any other FPSs that are like?
Oh, Doom.
Oh,
Doom.
right.
Doom's going back to.
I would talk
like
more about
running...
it if I had seen it, but. Too bad that footage was just at QuakeCon or whatever. So.
Yeah, well, according to journalists, it's going back to the running, gunning, shooting stuff of the old Doom games.
Your
and
arms ripped off and beaten you. I don't know, like
brutal Doom. It sounds like
it more or less has lost most of my like faith in like clout in them after Rage. Just like how underwhelming that was, and yeah.
Rage seemed really weird when it came out because I was like, it's like Borderlands meets. I don't know, Quake or something.
It's a product of its time, and it was very uninspired. Post-apocalyptic wasteland shooter thingy.
I don't know. I tried.
Speaking of that,
Fallout.
Wasteland 2 is supposed to be coming out this month.
Yeah, I think it's like finally leaving its beta state and then actually being on full release on Steam.
It's supposed to come out like the 14th. So.
Yeah, this month. I don't know. I've heard goodish things about it, but we'll see. They're asking. I feel like a lot of money for like an overhead isometric kind of thing on Steam. So it's like a $60 full retail thing. But
So do we want to keep talking about FPSs, or should we talk about my dislike of MOBAs?
I'm down with that. Like I got another like maybe 30 minutes to hang out before I need to probably head out. So.
Okay.
But yeah, why you not like MOBA?
Okay. Well, I can't say I dislike all MOBAs. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I mean, you could, and then I think you and
Wait.
Trey would be like best friends.
Are you saying you dislike all MOBAs? Or are you saying you
I think he's saying he dislikes all MOBAs.
Okay, so I dislike all MOBAs. But the primary
That's right.
one.
Own it.
Own it. Yeah. The primary one that I have an issue with.
Okay.
And then I talk about it on the radio show all the time because for some reason that's the only stuff I can find that we can talk about. League of Legends. Okay.
Hey, Ryan, did you hear they're getting rid of all their League of Legends lore, right?
Oh my God! Hey, don't spoil that. Talk about that on the show. Okay, so that's a good kind of segue into this. So that's probably my biggest issue with MOBAs is that there isn't like extremely good in-depth lore for a lot of the games that I've seen.
Yes, I would agree with you 100%.
And I think, for me anyways, lore makes the game better. Like,
would you say that you play games for story, Ryan?
Oh my gosh! And this is why I don't play like most Call of Duty games.
Except for the ones with zombies. But no, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a form of medium, and like, yeah, I read books for good stories.
Yeah, and it's just the evolution of media as is. But and so that's one side of it, and the other side of it that I have an issue with is just the what?
No, not you.
No. Just keep going. Keep going.
Okay. The other issue I have with it is the communities in these games are.
Oh, they're so bad.
Okay, DJ, go ahead. I want to.
Yeah, elaborate. How bad are they, DJ? And are you a part of the problem?
No. I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's so bad that Riot says we basically have to implement chat restrictions because people just don't know when to keep their mouths shut. I mean, it's just these communities are so toxic because the game is so heavily team-based. You cannot succeed unless you work together as a team. So when someone screws up, then just your own team members are so quick to jump on you and just say that you suck or you're terrible.
That's an issue that I have with MOBAs specifically.
So what is the actual issue aside from? Okay, so
it's not very inviting to get into.
You say lore is an issue, but I'm just like these games are so temporary and brief that lore wouldn't do too much to actually help you delve into the characters. That's where flavor comes in. The flavors of each character matter.
Flavor is part of the lore.
I mean, flavor can go hand in hand with the lore, even if the lore isn't very deep. That's where you get stuff like Cassiopeia. She's a serpent, but she's actually a sister of Katarina, and this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I wouldn't want if this game actually had something more compelling than a 5v5, 3v3, or other maps like that, then I would want something more visceral from a storyline.
Yeah, but see, here's
brief.
But here's the issue with that is that the reason why, and this is where the importance of lore comes in, is that the reason why Riot is nerfing all of the pre-existing lore.
I like that.
They're nerfing the lore.
They're nerfing the lore. The very kind of patched together little bits of information that you had, like the was it the Journal of
Justice.
Journal of Justice, and then the League judgments and all that. That again really patched together, but Riot basically came out and said we want to completely get rid of all the pre-existing lore and start over because we did not foresee League of Legends to expand the way it did, and we want to have a little bit more control. It's like they kind of want more control, and they kind of want more of like a do-over, like.
So why?
So you like the mechanics,
with
but
Star Wars then.
Do what?
They're pulling a Disney with Star Wars.
Well, no,
Exactly.
think of it like Infinite Crisis, maybe.
I read the open letter when they talked about that, and what they said was they do not want to stifle the development of characters or the game itself due to story restrictions. And that, to me, sounds extremely reasonable for a game that does not rely on the story.
So what does that mean? Does that mean they want to rewrite a bunch of characters' backstories to change their abilities, or do they want to make new characters that they couldn't normally do with the current story?
Is Lucian's
Well,
wife going to get out of hell? Is that what you're saying? No.
For example, Cassiopeia, her previous story, because Cassiopeia is getting like a rework and everything, is why I bring her up. Her story was that she kind of wooed this Freyordan mystic or some sort, and to get some information that she could take back to Noxus, or if that's what the country's called. And the guy said, "I will tell you as long as you do not tell this secret to anyone." When she gets home, she tells her dad, like the #1 assassin in the country, everything that happens, and it turns out that she was cursed, and that's why she became the Serpent Lady. But that doesn't really make sense. Why she looks like an Egyptian whatchadoodle.
Right, it's more that they were playing off of that whole like concept, and that's.
But then they made the story afterwards. But now the story is that she got cursed by something in the Shurima Desert, which is why she looks like a Shurima denizen.
Okay.
So they're just reincorporating the story to better flesh out the characters.
I think a better way of putting it is like League of Legends does have a story, but it doesn't seem like it progresses in some ways, like or that it's hard to follow and it's not up in front.
They need to get rid of summoners. I find summoners the most arbitrary like existence in that entire thing. Like you have these people who are supposed to like the characters are these either some are just very small characters that happen to go to this like the summoner school or whatever it's called, the Academy of some fuck if I know, but
I would like to enroll there.
But the thing is, you
And
also
if you pay
have
more attention to the storyline, you might know.
You also have these other characters like Ashe and Garen and Jarvan who are political figures of their nations who go to this academy to settle disputes. But as far as the lore is concerned, they're not even fighting them with they are being controlled by others. So it makes no fucking sense why this is a political thing.
Yeah.
So then, wouldn't that be solved by, I don't know, rebuilding the lore?
So why is it a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying that it's
just
good
such
that you're doing it.
It's such a convoluted mess that they need to do something with it if they want to have a story at all.
So do you think that there's going to be any kind of, DJ, you mentioned like reworking, like players being reworked or whatever, like their abilities changing. Do you think addition of lore is going to make the game? Do you think it's going to widen it? Because for me, clicking around and pressing buttons, I mean, of course, that's kind of how we play all games, but an issue that I have that I wasn't really going to bring up because that's just a serious personal preference. It's just the gameplay and the controls of like.
See, I feel like that's a larger issue. If you just don't like the play style of a MOBA, that would definitely explain why you hate all MOBAs, you terrible person.
Exactly, because all MOBAs play almost exactly the same.
That's my issue.
First-person shooters all almost play exactly the same. It's
your
called genres.
You could always try Smite. Smite is probably, I would say, the easiest MOBA to get into.
Smite is the ugliest thing.
And you can actually play that with a controller if you want, and you won't be at a disadvantage to someone who's playing with a keyboard. At least
Smite,
would be.
The graphics in Smite look like the sweat off the balls of Morrowind. It looks fucking terrible.
Wow.
Don't ever say anything bad about Morrowind, or I will fight you. So.
No, I'm just saying Morrowind has a primitive graphics engine. It's a beautiful game, beautiful story, like beautiful music and everything. It's just Smite having officially come out this year looks like balls. It looks so bad.
Well, if you want to go into new games that have shitty graphics and shitty everything, we could talk about ESO, but I don't think we have enough time for that.
Why talk about? What else is there to say? It's gonna go free to play before it even hits the consoles, which is hilarious. But
when it comes out and it's free to play, Michael will be the happiest person in the world because he does not want to pay for that shitty game, but he wants to. Because they delve into a lot of the background lore that you wouldn't get from the other games, and that's what he's interested in. But he does not want to play. It doesn't. He said his main complaint. It does not feel like an Elder Scrolls game.
I mean, it isn't. It's
an MMO crossed with Diablo 3.
Well, okay. So I'll go into ESO for a little bit.
Here we go.
Yeah. So
I mean, you don't have to explain it to me. I understand how much of a shitstorm it is.
Well, some people don't. That's the thing.
Are we talking like Tor bad here? Is it going to be better than Tortanic? Like, just how bad it's perceived, but
well, the way I look at it is that ESO to me is like, I don't know if you guys ever really played like a lot more of like the spin-off games like Battlespire or Redguard, Elder Scrolls Adventures, which were like on the little like Nokia phones.
No, I never got the opportunity to play those. I did play like Daggerfall and Arena because I ended up getting the DOS box and getting those on Good Old Games, and those are pretty fun. But the side story ones are kind of hard to get into if you're used to playing the main games, and especially if you're like me, you didn't have like the type of phone that would play those games at the day.
Right, and I think that's what will really kind of save Bethesda. Well, okay, not Bethesda.
Save Bethesda.
ZeniMax Online.
ZeniMax Online, yeah.
And people are getting laid off from that, so.
It's because they anticipated it would grow, and it is not growing.
I think the problem with it is that it was not made by Bethesda.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Todd Howard was not involved whatsoever.
ZeniMax is okay. Bethesda is a subsidiary of ZeniMax, which is why ZeniMax had the power to make ZeniMax Online to make this game.
Because Bethesda, it's like ZeniMax Studios, Bethesda Studios, and then Bethesda Softworks. Bethesda Softworks.
I'm pretty sure Bethesda Studios and Softworks are the exact same thing.
No, they're actually different, which is surprising. Like, Bethesda Softworks is the developer team. They are the ones that focus mainly on creating the games. Bethesda Studios is more of like the publisher. It acts more as a publisher.
Aren't those just two sides of the same coin?
Yeah, I mean, I looked into this and it's really confusing, but
there is a Bethesda Softworks, which is Little Black Box Red Bee Bethesda LLC, and there is, looking at now, Bethesda Game Studios, which is exclusively responsible for Elder Scrolls and the new Fallout stuff. But Bethesda Softworks, I think, is the publisher arm, which has published most of these, but they also do the splash damage stuff as well, which was, what was that really bad? Or that team-based shooter that looks like it was going to be Team Fortress 2, but Brink.
I thought you meant like the new one that was coming out.
No. Superman no here.
The issue with MOBAs that I have is that, like many of us have said, is that they're all the damn same.
True.
Like, probably Dota is the most complicated of them all. Like, you have to micro the shit out of your champions and your builds.
Yep.
League is probably like the easier. Like, it's like I wouldn't say it's like the my first MOBA, but it's a lot closer than Dota is. But ever since I started playing League, I always said, damn, if Square Enix made a Final Fantasy MOBA, I'd be all over that shit.
I'm surprised they haven't.
Okay, careful though, because when I saw, they're making an Elder Scrolls MMO, I was going to be all on that too.
Yeah, seriously.
The thing is, the head of Square Enix was in an interview recently. He's just like, I'm really interested in the MOBA franchise. It's just MOBAs aren't popular in Japan, is what he said. MOBAs are not popular, so it's not really feasible for us to make one. We have to dabble with it and see what's going to happen. And if they did it, there's going to be a whole people are going to.
Then the Koreans get into it, and now it's an esport.
But the thing is, they start out with 15 HP, but at level 20 or whatever the level cap is, you'll have 85,000 HP because they love their big numbers.
Right.
And if one thing, it's gonna be beautiful, but I don't know how well it would.
I just want to hear what the soundtrack is.
I gotta say, I'm honestly really surprised that MOBAs aren't more popular in Japan and Korea because
it's because PC gaming isn't popular in Japan.
So we have to get a console MOBA and not that Lord of the Rings MOBA, essentially.
Oh, the Battle for Middle-earth one?
Yeah, that's how we break in.
I like the Battle for Middle-earth one. It's just I didn't have anyone to play with.
Oh.
Ooh, Shadow of Mordor. We're talking about Lord of the Rings game.
We're trying. You're taking all the content we're going to do on the radio stuff.
We should do a MOBA based on this.
Oh, on D&D?
I thought you were reading that.
How does that not exist?
Because
if a Dead Island MOBA can exist, how can a Dungeons and Dragons MOBA not exist?
Well, anytime Dungeons & Dragons has tried to make a video game in recent history, it's failed pretty hardcore.
Yeah, I think recent. There was that really cool arcade game back in 1990s that was.
Is it Waterdeep?
I can't remember, but
is there a D&D turn-based game?
There's a few, I think.
That'd be something I think that could be.
Or maybe they're thinking Warhammer.
I don't look.
Oh well, yeah. Then
Honestly, D&D just needs to stick to RPGs. They had Neverwinter Nights. They had Icewind Dale. Those games were great and did amazingly.
CRPGs, another subgenre.
Wait, what did you say?
Computer RPGs like Baldur's Gate and Divinity: Original Sin.
I like tabletop RPGs. I'm with Trey on that one.
But the issue with those games is that like tabletop RPGs are so flexible. They're incredibly flexible. You can do almost anything in them.
Well, I mean,
but when you make a game, you're limited to the design of the game. So
Unless you're Minecraft or something.
all of the all the D&D books in their rule book say, hey, if the DM decides that they specifically want something to work a certain way, just do
roll
it.
with it. Yeah,
And then we're going to send out cops and find you and make sure you never do it again.
No.
Well, then that actually makes me think of like if there was a D&D online game.
There are two.
Yeah, and they're not that good.
They're
There's
MMO.
Dungeons and Dragons Online and Neverwinter.
Mhm.
Well, I know Neverwinter, but like I'm thinking more of like online, but in the
Yeah, they have that. Those are called chat rooms.
that too, yeah.
Oh, a play by post.
Yeah. No, Steam had a thing where like it just came out. It was like a game studio type thing where it's just like a bunch of 3D interactions with game pieces and stuff like that, and people have scanned in cards and stuff like that, and made miniatures of D&D stuff, so that if you wanted to do that table thing, you could.
When the Microsoft Surface was first announced in 2010, I think, like, and it was an actual
that thing is
table.
so unfeasible, but it looks really cool.
And it was an actual table. They there were
Wait, what is
programs.
it?
Where,
It was a big old flat. It was a touchscreen like table. It was think of like a dinner table, but the entire thing is a touchscreen.
Oh man, now that would be awesome if they could make it have holograms, and then I could play Magic on it, and then it was like the
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing I saw was like they were made it as a pitch for businesses, so like restaurants could order a bunch of those, and you could you just put your credit card down on the table, and it would scan all the info and stuff like
That's
that.
That's
Imagine.
terrible. That's
Frightening.
terrible.
Super convenient.
Okay, so I already get
Big
mad
relief.
at applying a screen protector on my phone. Imagine putting a screen protector
Yeah.
on this like 45-inch screen.
It's like seeing those like those non-maintained arcade machines with like the laggy stick that's all the way down, and you're just like, come on, guys. But it's just like those machines are hard to care for.
So Kevin, how much more time do you have?
I got maybe 5 minutes, but we've been talking for longer than we have any other one, so.
But Kevin isn't leading the conversation. DJ is, so you can leave.
I could. That's true. I could just hop out and say screw you guys, and then I watch the last 30 minutes. I said before the show about how out of shape I am and how I want to get in shape and what I'm going to do about that. And I
How
need to do
out of
that.
shape are you?
I can't go into details about it. I need to exercise more. That's all.
You're out of shape to the point that walking to my house is a chore for
I'm
you.
sorry, your house is really far away.
It's
That's
not that far.
He's so, like he didn't want to take the bus to my apartment.
I did though. I did, and I thank you for that. But yeah.
So I
think
mean,
it's done.
it was supposed to. This show really deviated. Not that that's a bad thing.
I mean,
this
what
thing
else is there to say?
Yeah, when like you get lots of people in place.
Yeah, I only have just so much I can say about Halo or Call of Duty and Destiny because I don't have as much experience with those as a lot of people. So
Well, that's true. I did ask about Evolve and stuff, which is a game I'm really looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to it. I just haven't had any kind of real hands-on experience. I've seen a couple of videos with some details about what the different classes can do, and it definitely looks really cool, so I'm looking forward to it. But until it actually comes out, I'm not going to have a heavy opinion on
I
it.
love the Cthulhu monster.
The Kraken.
The Kraken.
Squid.
I'm just like, yeah.
Watch, the next one's going to be a giant spider.
Man.
No,
Wait,
you turn off
didn't-
all the people that have arachnophobia then.
wait
Didn't they
until-
say-
Go ahead.
Didn't they say that at launch they were going to have like 5 monsters?
No, they were going to have 3 monsters and then 3 sets of 4.
Hunters.
Yeah, so basically you were going to have 12 different characters.
But they've talked a lot about adding more monsters as they go on as content support, which the way that like with Left 4 Dead and Turtle Rock, right? Like all the maps that came out, those were all free, weren't they? Free updates, or am I just crazy?
I know
Left 4 Dead
some
on
of
the
them were
PC.
Some of them
definitely.
were. I feel like that company has a reputation of not being like super I mean, Turtle Rock, which we haven't seen any since the original Left 4 Dead, but like not being super heavy into microtransactions and maybe more likely to do free content updates. And like I've heard stories about like, yeah, we've literally concepted like every like movie monster, and is there a way we could reform it to work in here? So you can stop mentioning Godzilla and all that stuff or the Thing. Like we've thought about it.
I mean, like John Carpenter's the thing. That would be so
Yeah,
cool.
like you end up being like a hunter within the hunter group, and then it all plays psychological mind games or something.
Mothra.
Mothra, yeah. Mecha Godzilla.
That makes me think of like
I'm sorry.
a Lovecraftian video game. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm looking for it. Yeah, that should be interesting. I don't know.
We could have a good survival horror or a good horror RPG based in the Lovecraft universe.
I don't want them to go. Oh, sorry. I don't want to railroad your conversation.
Go for it. Go.
I just don't want them to go all Final Fantasy VII with these monsters and be like, this is Bahamut, this is Neo Bahamut, this is Bahamut Zero, this is Bahamut Death, or something.
Oh, I mean, if you
like
pre-order, you get the Golden Behemoth and all that. So make sure you put in your money now.
Are you serious?
No, I made that up, but it sounds legit, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. I see this stuff all the time now, and so if somebody can say something like that offhandedly, and if they're not being very obviously sarcastic, I can believe it.
Oh God, I thought
Thank you,
Gold Monster.
like Ubisoft and EA for making this the standard.
That's why I don't pre-order anything now. I would have pre-ordered the new Civilization coming out, Beyond Earth, but I just don't trust pre-ordering anymore.
Alpha Centauri 2.
Some of the stuff that they hold for pre-order hostage is pretty ridiculous, like Alien Isolation's holding the original cast hostage.
The entire cast. Are you kidding me?
And now I just heard that Mortal Kombat X, if you pre-order it, you get to play as Goro, so they're holding Goro.
What? Oh, come on.
So you can talk to
Clearly, it's a boss character type way, then it wouldn't actually be in competitive tournament stuff.
Well, it depends. Unless they made him a playable character, they just balanced him and stuff.
I remember the pre-order with ESO. You got to be able to play as an Imperial,
and you got to mount immediately, which I've heard.
The thing is,
and Imperial armor, which is like the best armor.
That's not even the worst part of it. The worst part is that all the races are locked to certain regions, but Imperials can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that was pretty messed up.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like see that going back to ESO. There's so many cool things that they did and they could have done, but overall the game was just meh.
Okay, guys, I gotta hop out.
Bye, Kevin.
I am so glad that people are doing stuff that makes me proud, and I hope that you guys don't immediately end this call as soon as I hop out. DJ, all you gotta do when we're done is just say stop broadcast, and it does everything for you. So
yeah, I figured that out.
So yeah, you guys keep chatting if you like it, and we gotta do this again sometime. I'm gonna cry. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got till about 4 myself, so I got about 30 more minutes.
But yeah, you guys take care then.
I gotta do laundry and clean my room.
Yeah.
See you later.
I haven't eaten anything yet today.
Not too late.
Oh my gosh.
It is a good idea, actually. I'm gonna go get a Reuben. It's gonna be delicious.
So what else is going on in?
Trey, do you want to meet up for lunch?
Well, I'm gonna go do laundry right after I get out of this, and then
I didn't stop the broadcast, guys.
How
I know that.
are you guys gonna be?
Yeah.
All right. As far as some things that let me look over some stuff. I'm excited about Wasteland 2 coming up. They've got a new not Starbound, Star Drive, I think.
Oh, I was about to be really excited if you said that there was a new Starbound something.
No, gosh. Star Drive 2 is coming out. I'm excited about that. Of course, I'm only going over PC stuff, things I'm going to be actually playing at the moment.
Well, okay, what are y'all playing right now?
Me, I'm still playing mostly League. I mean, that's pretty much it for me until next week. I'm sorry.
I'm still playing Neo Scavenger, doing my Let's Play stuff with that. I'm also playing RimWorld now because I finally was able to buy that. It's been pretty fun so far. I'm waiting for the next update, though, when they get to the Alpha 7.
Well, you
Ryan? Mod Rim, mostly. Skyrim, just modding it. TF2. See, this is the thing. I don't have steady income, so I can't blow money on games.
So, I will tell you what I'm playing. I'm playing Bravely Default. That game is not even new, okay? That game is nowhere near being new, but it is great, and I'm playing through it. You know what? I mean, plus you could otherwise acquire games like by borrowing them.
Or pirating.
Shush.
Not that I'm
No, we
endorsing
can't.
pirating in
No.
any way.
Right. Yeah, that's something I exactly want to do on campus.
Yeah.
Who plays on consoles? Just me?
No, I do. I just
I
haven't
have
recently.
a 360, and I play games on that still sometimes. I actually play the Saints Row games on 360. I prefer that.
Do
But
you? Oh yeah, okay, exactly. What do you prefer to play on different consoles? Like on different like mediums rather. Like I prefer to play most indie games on my Vita because I like having short instances of like being on the bus and playing like Rogue Legacy or whatever. I like playing party games on the console is like a given, but I can't play most games on the PC unless it's a first-person shooter or an MMO.
Why is that?
I'm pretty heavily the opposite on that. I prefer almost all of my games on the PC unless I happen to start playing them on the console before I played them on PC. Like the Saints Row franchise I was just mentioning, I started that off on the 360, and then they usually made it where it was easy to like just change your character over between the games as it went, and so it just made more sense for me to keep playing that on the 360.
I don't actually have a console myself, but for me, if I can, I'm the same as Trey. If I can play a game on PC, I will. But games that are exclusive, like first one to mind is Last of Us.
I mean, you don't have a choice. Like, so that's not you choosing. If there's a game that has some sort of a party feel to it where I can have people play it with me, I always buy it on console.
Like
so I can take
Towerfall?
it. Like, I mean, yeah, Towerfall's on Steam, but it's not only was it free on PlayStation Plus, but I ended up having a lot of fun downloading it onto Kevin's roommate's PS4. It's fun.
Right. Yeah, that was a lot of fun playing that.
But yeah, for a little game like that, console works very well. It's it's just a 4-player versus all on one screen. Works out great.
I will say Diablo 3. I love Diablo 3 on console because me and Michael can play on the couch together. It is such a good couch co-op game.
Yeah, so basically anything that involves couch co-op, because there aren't many PC games that do that.
But the thing is, like, another perk for the Diablo 3 on consoles is that we don't have to worry about server-based AI.
Well, that too.
I'm not really a big fan of D3. I love D2 a lot.
Oh yeah,
D3 just didn't impress me, and mostly because there was just that lack of customization for your character's skill set by comparison.
Oh,
I just don't get into it.
Putting points and stuff.
Yeah, the lack of a skill tree was a major thing for me.
The only thing that I really liked, I actually played a little bit of Diablo 3, but one of the things I really thought was a cool feature that I'm really sad that they nerfed was the whole like
Lore.
the actual like the market system where people like my roommate, his main source of income was selling items on the market. Like
yeah, but that was such a horrible idea.
I'm a sad creature.
Do what?
What? Who said that? Not me.
Why is that like a terrible thing?
Okay, so
I think that's kind of cool for like real world.
But the issue is that this game one of the charms from this type of dungeon crawling loot based game is you could find a legendary item and you feel accomplished when you find it. One of the side effects for the marketplace is that not only did it make the game pay to win, like you could buy high level legendary equipment with real money. It was that because of that feature, they also stagnated drops for people who didn't even care about that.
Right. Well, aren't there a lot of games that are kind of like pay to win?
Well, a lot of players don't like to play those. Yeah.
I hate that stuff so much. And it monetized one of the primary reasons why you even play a Diablo game. Loot drops, dungeon crawling.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people just like pay to win in most free games tends to fall flat on its face.
What about like games that are free?
Yeah, on free to play games.
Yeah, I mean,
pay to win on free to play games.
It depends on how heavily they're holding the content hostage. If I through just regular play can earn normally with not very much heavily like extra effort, get
Grinding?
what they are trying to sell, then I'm okay with it. But when massive chore to get to the point and it's like I could just pay $50 and just get what I want right now, or I could sit here for like 2 or 3 or 4 days worth of playtime before I actually get to that point, that's just too much of a chore and it's going to make me want to leave that game.
So for me, it's if from a PvE perspective, if the game restricts features like Star Wars, not Galaxy, Star Wars, the Old Republic.
The Tortanic.
For example, behind a paywall, they have skill bars.
Yeah,
Like, you only
that
had
is
2
true.
or 3 skill bars unless you paid for the other skill bars, which means you only had access to 12, 24 abilities on the screen at any one time. That's like
way
actually
worse than that.
you're limiting features of the game. Like, you're not incentivizing, you're requiring. And then on PvP, on the competitive game, if you are selling goods that actually give you an advantage, a sizable advantage, or any advantage at all against someone who is playing free, that is a problem as well. That's literally pay to win. Yeah, pay to win is, and that's like not ever like a good thing.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think
Paying for aesthetic changes or voice packs and stuff like that, that means that like not only are you giving money to the developer of the game, you're also kind of like, I am enjoying this game. I just want to play it a little bit differently. Like, you get a new Sona skin in League of Legends, or you're buying a new weapon in Warframe or whatever. Like, these are things that you could already obtain in the game, except for the skins. Skins you can't. But those are aesthetic differences.
Yeah, cosmetic stuff I'm totally fine with. That makes sense. If you purely just like want to pay $5 to your character, it looks unique, that makes sense, and I'm all for that. It's just when it comes down to the stuff we were already talking about, loot and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, Tor's problems don't just end there. They restrict you on revives. You can't even use a fleet pass, which is basically like you can't go back to the main city ever. You have to buy those. It's horrible. It's like it is the worst free-to-play model I have ever seen, ever.
I'm gonna chill here and be my poor self and play my 6 games in my Steam library. But I think I'm gonna get going. But it was really good talking to you guys.
All right, I guess we'll end this then.
I mean, you don't have to end it just because I'm going, but
Yeah, we do.
Nah, I need to get off here too, so.
All right, guys. Well, it's been fun.
The end is nay. Nay.
All right.
I'm sorry. I've been watching BoJack Horseman.
No.
What?
No, not yet, but I want to. It looks fun.
It's all right. That's all I'm gonna say. Will Arnett as a horse, whatever.
All right.
So, I guess
All right,
this has been Pixel Loadout on a weekend hangout. I'm DJ. I've been the host. Kevin left, and Miguel, Ryan, Trey.
Miguel, this is Miguel.
Yeah.
This is Trey.
All right.
Bye.
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 Bye, guys.